Hi, my name is Amanda McGeehan and I am your son or daughter's honors biology teacher. Welcome to Virtual Back to School Night. I want to take the next few minutes to talk about just some general information about myself, honors biology, and some student expectations under the hybrid learning schedule this year. So for starters, my contact information is on the screen. My email is first. That is the best way to get in touch with me. You'll get a much quicker response than using the voicemail number that's listed below. Either are fine, but if you would like a quicker response, email is the best way to get in touch with me. I'm in classroom 214 of the high school. This is my 9th year of teaching. Most of them have been spent at Clearview. I am also the AP biology teacher. I have 3 sections of that class and 2 sections of honors biology this year. My teacher website can be accessed through the high school Clearview website. So you would go to highschool.clearview.edu, go to the staff directory, type in my name, and you would find my website listed there. There's just some general information for each of the courses I teach, syllabus, resources for students. You're welcome to access it at any time as well. If you'd like to sign up for Remind 101, this is a one-way text messaging system that the school uses and I use. If you'd like to receive the same reminds that your students do, this would be things like, hey, there's homework due tomorrow, or hey, there's a quiz coming up. You would receive all the same messages that your son or daughter receives by signing up with the directions on the screen. You would type in the phone number that's listed, and then in the message box on your phone, you would type in the code depending on which either class period your student is in. And again, this is not required. You're welcome to do it. If you'd like to receive all the same messages that your son or daughter receives, you would be totally in the loop and they wouldn't even know about it. But again, not required. So the curriculum for honors biology takes a micro to macro approach. So we start small and we expand as we go throughout the year. We are in our cell structure and function unit. We've been learning a lot about cells for the past couple of weeks, the parts, the cell membrane, how things go in and out of the cell. So we've been focusing on structure and function. As we proceed through the rest of the year, our molecules that we learn about will get larger until we get all the way up to ecology at the end of the year and we learn about all the relationships of all organisms on the planet. This year, there are no lab periods due to the hybrid schedule. Traditionally, in the past, a lab period was a double period once a week for your student who was enrolled in a science class at Clearview. There are no longer any double periods this year, but that's not to say that we won't still do lab work. So there will be alternatives to traditional lab work. Of course, students can't work together and they won't be working together in close quarters. They won't be sharing materials. There will be creative solutions to still doing lab work in honors biology. The school has purchased a subscription for Pivot Interactives, which is a really great online lab program. It provides videos of labs where students can interact with the videos by changing variables in the experiment, answering questions, graphing data, drawing conclusions. It's pretty much all the same skills that a student would get from doing a lab, just minus the physical touching the materials part. So it's a great substitute. We'll also be using Gizmos this year. They're an online simulation for labs as well. We've done a couple of those already this year, actually in honors biology, 2 on cells. The first one was a virtual microscope lab where the students looked at several types of cells under the microscope, and the other was on cell structures. So again, these will stand in place of doing traditional hands-on lab work, but we will still develop the skills. Expectations for students this year are a little different under the current model of sometimes they're home, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're always home, right? So students that are in the classroom and at home will always participate in the same lesson. So whether you're a student at home or whether you're a student at school, for honors biology, you are doing the same thing. Students who come to school will receive copies of all class handouts, notes, either the day that we're doing the lesson or the day before, so that they will have them at home on their virtual days so that they can participate with a handout or a paper version of the activity. I find that students have elected to do this year. They wanted to take copies of papers just because that's how they're used to doing things. Any student who is an all virtual student will always have access to electronic versions of all class handouts and all the notes. They will be posted on Google Classroom each day for the appropriate lesson that they go with. They'll be able to access them, type on them, and then I've encouraged them to keep a virtual binder this year so that they can save all of their documents for honors biology according to the unit that we're in. Both remote and in-person students are expected to participate in all lessons. I call on the students using cards with their names on it, like in the picture. They hate it, but that's how I get them all to participate. So we've been doing this the past couple weeks and it's been working out pretty well. I will call on students at home. They can unmute themselves and speak, and the students in the room are able to all hear them. And then likewise, students who get called on in the classroom, when they give their answer, the students at home are able to hear them. Students are also able to use the Google Meet chat to communicate with me, send messages. Sometimes I'll ask the whole class a question and I'll ask the students at home to type their answer into the chat. Sometimes they unmute and speak. It's really been going pretty well in terms of student engagement and participation. It's keeping everybody engaged in the same lesson, no matter whether they're at home or whether they're at school. Some other avenues for student engagement that I've been using this year so far, and I think somewhat successfully. The first one is called Pear Deck. Pear Deck is essentially an interactive Google Slides extension. It allows students to answer questions, draw pictures, move images around, type their responses, and it's pretty neat. It allows them all to participate on the same activity at the same time, and then I'm able to see all of their answers at once. So there's an example on the screen where the students were asked to draw the planet that comes after Jupiter. So there's actually drawing tools that will come up through Pear Deck, and they can use them to draw or write or whatever the prompt is, and then I'm able to project all of their answers onto the board, and we can go through and look, and this way everybody is able to contribute an answer, everybody's able to participate. It's a great tool to keep everybody involved. And then the other thing I've been using this year is called Google Jamboard. Google Jamboard is essentially just a virtual whiteboard where students can add answers and responses and collaborate. So here's an example from a lesson we did last week on cell structure and function. Each student was put into a group and assigned a Jamboard. So this is the first Jamboard from that activity. Students added sticky notes as answers to the question, and then we're able to go through and look at everyone's answers. So everybody, again, whether they're at home or whether they're in school, they're all able to participate. They're all able to collaborate. I think it's really important that we keep both groups of students engaged. And that's it. I want to thank you all for watching my Back to School Night video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Take care.